Hello everyone, and in this video I am going to be showing you a cool way to flood an area. So here we have a little house with a little farm, and as you can see the flooding has already began. So we have water coming up on all sides, and it's engulfing the house in water in a matter of seconds. So yeah, it's just really fast and cool. So it is almost finished already, but there's a little bit more flooding, and it has now reached the point where it is finished. So in this video, I'm just going to be showing you how I did this, and how this flooding sort of works, how it worked here. And yeah, that is what I'm going to be showing you in this video. Okay, so I've set up an area, and I'm going to be using this area to show you sort of how you can flood a location. So I'm going to begin with the simplest method, which is just to fill the top layer of whatever you're flooding with water. And because of the way Minecraft works, the water blocks up here will have water flow from them all the way down, and that will flood the area. So I'm just going to go to that command and change it to air and undo all of that. So I'm gonna fast forward, and yeah, so now our area is dry because we removed all the water from the top, and I'm gonna show you a cooler way to flood an area with water. So I'm just gonna add a glass block right here, and I'm gonna fill from this glass block down to here, and I'm gonna fill that area full of water. And I'm going to go from that same position to here and fill this area full of water. And now Minecraft has a rule. Basically, water sort of can make more water. So I'm going to dig out a small hole. And if I put two waters here, because this block is touching two water, it too becomes a water. So I'm just going to fill this hole back in. And that is how this sort of works. So in between these two faces, we will always have a corner, at least as long as the entire cube is not filled in with water. And in that corner will generate more water. So more water will continue to generate until the entire cube is filled in. So let's just watch that happen, and you can see the entire area gets filled in a matter of seconds. Now the problem is that, as you saw, having a block here stopped it. In fact, having a block anywhere will stop all the blocks in a square, well, in a cube, away from the water from generating. So I'm going to dig out a hole again, or I don't know. But let's look at what happens. We have a block here, and we have water on all the walls, and the water forms at the corner, and then it continues expanding, but because it can't form right here, it can't form there, and it stops this entire cube from generating, which is what that block was doing. It was preventing the entire area from generating. But however, we have a layer on top. Now there is another rule for water generating more water blocks. It is that water can only generate new source blocks if the block it's trying to generate it on is underneath a solid block. Now, here we're violating another rule, which is that there is no water flowing into that area, so I guess I would just force this water to flow into that area, and now we will get infinite water. The way people would normally generate infinite water is just placing a square, because now I can remove any water and it stays infinite. So that is what happens here. It forms on top of water and on top of a solid block, but nothing else. However, if these blocks were to be solid, then the water would spread over top of them. So what the thing about this is at any block, if basically what happens is the flood is traveling in this direction, and if the terrain goes up, then the water on the next layer will do it. But if a terrain goes back down, then the water can't generate there because there's nothing beneath it, and well, it truly will stop the water. Like for every layer above, if the same thing will happen, and it will create a massive gap throughout the rest of the reaction. This gap will be here. So basically the rule is, in the direction the water is traveling in, the terrain may go up and water will just go over top of it, but the terrain may not go down because the water cannot form over top of air. And this applies in both directions, so any given block, it needs to be down and down, or flat or down, or flat or up. And that is the rule. So that is how I did this thing up here. So you can see, if we go up here, what I did was I basically had 4 walls of water, and I made it so that each wall, each corner would fill in a certain area. So I began marking that out with glass at the beginning, but I kind of stopped. But yeah, I was able to use every single slope on this hill because I had 4 corners. So I was able to have it tilt in all 4 directions. Otherwise this hill would be only moving in one direction, and it would look pretty bad. But we are able to have it slope in all 4 directions, so it looks good. So that is everything you need to know on how to flood an area that has uneven ground very quickly. This is a bit harder to do than just flooding the sky, as I showed you could do, but it is a lot cooler to see it all happen at once. So yeah, there's one last thing. It could take a while to set up these massive walls of water. So I designed a machine that could automatically set these up. So that is going to be what the rest of the video is. I am going to be doing a tutorial on how to build that machine. So yeah, it's time for the tutorial. So at this point of the video, I've shown you how to do this flooding technique with walls of water. But how do we actually get those walls of water? Well, I'm going to be showing you how to build a flying machine that will give you a solid wall of water. Normally, when designing a flying machine to generate a wall of water, people will just flood the top layers with water, because then the water will flow down. But this machine is going to give you a solid wall of water. So this is a flying machine, and this stair is going to represent the water level of that you are generating from. So I've locked the flying machine in place, and we are going to begin building. So I'm going to add 2 observers here. One piston is going to push back at this machine, and one sticky piston is going to pull some honey, which it will be down here. We're going to add a square of honey and add some observers here. Both of them will lead into a normal piston, and I'm going to add a wool block here, a temporary block here to place a observer, and this is going to be sort of a engine that moves up whenever the flying machine crashes into it. So now we are going to do a sticky piston here and do 5 blocks out like that. at the end we are going to go like that, do an observer and a piston facing upwards. From here we're going to build our honey, basically this little thing to push up our flying machine, and then this will basically restart it. We need 3 so that it actually keeps pulsing it for long enough. At this point, by using a button, we can test this module. The thing about that is it will instantly move it upwards by 1 block. So, and start it. So we're not going to do that yet. So moving it upwards means the stair will be here, and it's going to move forward. So at a certain point along this path, we're going to want our secondary station. Our station is going to start with 3 of these blocks, 3 slime on top, and then 3 slime behind with this corner connecting them. We're going to basically detect when the flying machine arrives. Piston will pull up a little segment, and then the entire thing will move upwards. So it will just move up 1 block because of this. This will both stop it from moving up a 2nd block and push our flying machine back the other way. So now that is the entirety of the thing we're building. I am going to add a wool block here and here and here. Oh wait, that's a sticky piston. I didn't mean to build that with a sticky piston. Under normal circumstances, that wouldn't have happened. So now we have the machine, and basically we are going to add a pillar here. So this pillar is going to have water along the sides. So I'm going to grab a water bucket and add water up the sides of this pillar. We don't want to miss a single block. Otherwise, our machine will just randomly stop in the middle of the water wall making process. Now, the stair will move up for the first one to here and move across, filling in the first layer of water. Now, beneath it on this layer, we need a foundation. So the best option is water, and you can just use a flying machine to add it, but I'm just going to be using glazed terracotta because I am in creative mode and it will be easy. So just have this foundation go up until here. It could be water blocks or glazed terracotta blocks. So you could make some water blocks with another flying machine, or you could just place the glazed terracotta. Anyway, once you have a suitable foundation, you can start the machine. So now we will get to test this segment by placing a button here and just crashing the flying machine into this wall. Now, yeah, and you can see it starts it back up and sets the flying machine moving. Now, as you can see, it begins making the water wall, and then when it reaches this side, it gets turned around. So I'm going to speed up this process, tick, sprint, I don't know, 60 seconds, and you can see that it is building a water wall. So I'm going to tick, sprint, another 60 seconds, and tick, sprint, another 60 seconds. And you can see that it is building this water wall layer by layer. So, yeah, that is the mini tutorial. If you leave this running, it will eventually just sort of stop working. So as you can see, once it reaches past the pillars of water, it just stops, and this is your end product. So yeah, that is the tutorial on how to build this water wall thing. I think when I first made it, I called it the Water 9001 or something like that. But, yeah, it's just a water wall making machine. And with it, you can use it to flood areas with the previous rules I told you about the water flooding. So yeah, I think this will be the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it.